What's up? What's up? Good morning. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday. We'll take a look at XRP to start off with. Good morning, Mina. Hope all is well. Yeah, we'll take a look at HBAR today, no problem. Yeah, we can do Pepe for sure. I actually did a Pepe chart for my members yesterday, I think it was. So we'll dive into the Pepe chart, no problem. We'll also take a look at HBAR, all the ISO coins, but we'll first take a look at XRP here on the 30-minute time frame. So this is the 30-minute time frame here for XRP. Now, what I'm thinking, now these are the two scenarios laid out on the chart. Either this move over here was a sweep of the adjacent high, and now we're in the midst of our third wave to the downside to reach into this oversold territory before we blast off above 284. So that's one of the scenarios if we end up losing $2.49. So if we lose $2.49 on the 4-hour time frame, which would be the 88.6% fib, then it's likely we'll be coming down towards this oversold region. Otherwise, as long as these interim fib supports hold, then I don't see a reason why we wouldn't have one more push up to, let me see here, towards $2.90 to $3.04. Okay, now the reason I say these two levels is because simply when we take a fib from this high, so from the highest recorded price within this range down to this low, the 702 and the 786 is there at $2.90 to $3.04. So so remember, as long as these fibs hold, then it's likely we'll go towards this region. This region right here. Have a little bit of a throw over of this wedge, and then from here we still come down to make an ABC correction down to this oversold region. You see this middle band over here of this range. Now when we take a look, let me just check the chat. Bro, can you do, what's up Permabull? Hope you're doing well. Bro, can you look at Floki? Yeah, we'll take a look at Floki, API 3 for sure. We'll update that. KSM, Hex, sure. But yeah, let's continue on here with XRP. Looking pretty good, man. It's like it's holding these fib supports. If it holds the fib supports, then it's likely we'll come up here. But what I wanted to point out with XRP is that this is just a smaller range, okay? And within this smaller range, you're going to have a lot of people pulling their hair out, a lot of analysts, retail traders who are going to be confused on where the market is headed next. But I want to assure you that this is just a smaller range after our larger range has already been completed. Okay, so you see this larger range here from December 3rd, came down in a 3-wave move, came up in a 3-wave move, and we swept the range high. Then with this flash crash, we swept the range low. So this larger range, it looks like it's completed. Now within this larger range, we have a smaller range that XRP is going to oscillate within. So basically what I'm saying is I think that this low is in right over here. You see this low? I think the low is in here. I don't see a reason why we would go below this low, considering this is the largest liquidation event in history, even more than FTX. And then right over here, which was yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago, we see that FUD come out with Bybit. I mean, it's still FUD even though it happened. Even though it happened because it made people fearful. Now, after this huge liquidation event, and now we're oscillating back and forth, and now over here we see that Bybit news come out. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are scared to get into crypto right now. But it's likely the low is in, because when we take a look at total 3, right? Where did total 3 come down to? Well, we see that it's just come down to this 200-day moving average. Now, usually when we have a very huge parabolic advance in the market, which we did have back in November, right? Went up by over 93% on total 3. All we were doing was just having a check back to this 200-day moving average. And then within this yellow region is where I would be expecting chop. Maybe we fill the wick even more, right? Regardless if we do, regardless, I still think the low is in here at this 200-day moving average, similar to that of the Russell 2000. When we take a look at the Russell 2000, you see it's just double tapped this 200-day. I mean, we're below it right now. Let's see on the daily time frame. We're a little bit below it right now, but I would be expecting a spring back above this 200-day come the next trading week. So yeah, we may see some chop here. So the market closed with the Russell under the 200-day. But usually that's when a lot of the market gets very fearful, and all the smart money buys this deviation under the 200-day for the anticipation of that pop up. And we can actually see the same thing happen with Nvidia. When we take a look at Nvidia, some crazy news came out. We dipped below the 200-day moving average over here. You see how we dipped below the 200-day on the daily? But it was just a deviation, and then look how we got bought back up from this low. Nice 26% gain. So what I would be expecting on the Russell is we still have one more push to the upside. Or sorry, this is Nvidia. So what I'm thinking for Nvidia is we still have one more push to the upside. It may consolidate at these fibs over here and then continue on higher. But ultimately, I think that the market is going to rip higher. We can even take a look at the DXY. This is the DXY over here. Remember I said, as soon as you get that weekly close or daily close below 106.402, then that would be really good for risk assets. Then we can for sure confirm that this over here was our high at the 70.2% fib at 110. But yeah, I still think that the DXY is going to take out these range lows. But in order to confirm a scenario in which we do that, we need to see a push below 106.402, and we're super close to it. You see, we're very close to it. So maybe, let me see here. Maybe like 270 more pips, and then we're good. Or like 300 pips. And then we're good to say that, yeah, this is the top. But yeah, this is the DXY, Russell 2000, and XRP. Everything is looking good so far, especially with XRP, considering it's just chopping within this range. Okay, let's check this out. So we'll continue to monitor this. Okay, we'll continue to monitor this, and just know that it does look like we do have a solid low here. I mean, if the market were to flush, it would likely just be a liquidity sweep within this smaller range. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. And then if we go below, I say worst case scenario for XRP, we go to around, let me see, the 786 is at $2.04. Worst case scenario, we go there and then see a rapid rise. And in this move, to put things into perspective, if we do come down to $2.04 on XRP, I'm sure the move would be really fast. We would get bought up very fast, and in doing so, a lot of coins may make a slight lower low. A slight lower low just to form some bullish divergence, like just a liquidity sweep. Some coins, not all of them. But regardless, I think that the market is going to be showing some strength here soon. A lot of fuzz in the mic. Yeah, probably because there's like some coins, or sorry, some cords around my mic cord. Let me just move the. Okay, yeah. So we'll take a look at. Let me see here. Okay, we'll take a look at this coin, Karat. But we'll take a look at HBAR. All right, cool. Yeah, I think it's when I'm not talking, the fuzz gets worse. But let me just move other electronics away from my mic, so maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll help. But yeah, let's take a look at HBAR over here. HBAR, I'm still bullish on HBAR. Take a look at it on the 4-hour time frame. Let's move up to the daily. Let me see if this is the correct chart. Okay, yeah. So we had an ABC correction here. It looks like this was a 3-wave move down. You had your 3-wave move up for your flat pattern, and then a 5-wave move to the downside. Now this, it looks like this could be your wave 1 in a leading diagonal formation. This is your wave 3, 4, and then this could be a truncation of the 5th wave of your C wave. Or we still have a little bit more of a low to sweep, like just by a bit. And then this C wave would look like that. And don't forget the 200-day moving average is right here. Let's see where this 100-day moving average is relative to where the price is trading. Yeah, so it's currently above the price. So I do see a scenario in which we come back to tap this 100-day moving average, but I would say most of this downside move is already completed. You came down to the 786 here. So if we take a fib from this low up to this high, notice how we came down to the 786. See how we came down here? So as long as this low can hold, then I would be expecting chop over here and a push back up to the 100-day moving average. Maybe a move to take out this high right here. However, if we're unable to hold above this 786 and get above this 786 at 26 cents, then I'm sure we still have a little bit more of a slight lower low to be made on HBAR. Remember what I said when we were covering XRP, if XRP were to ever flush all the way down to $2.04, to put things into perspective, some coins may make a slight lower low. But if in doing so, there's likely going to be a huge demand if a new lower low gets set. Like, I'm sure it'll be like a kind of like a spring in a way. But when we take a look at HBAR on the daily time frame, it does look really bullish. I still think we have more upside to go. I think a move to around 75 cent to $1.10 would make sense. Now, the reason I say that is because when we take a fib up from this December high down to the lowest recorded price within this correction, we see that the 2.618 up to the 4.236 is there, 75 cent to $1.10. And then when we take a fib from the all-time high down to the low, we see the 1.618 and 1.786 is around that same region. So with HBAR, we may not make a significant move above the last all-time high, but we'll still have, it's likely we'll still have that deviation, which would be for profit taking, right? Looks like just a huge channel, right? Could you give us a list of coins that are dead and should be avoided? I don't really know off the top of my head which coins are dead. So, I mean, there is this coin that went bankrupt. Like, there is a few coins, like the team, something happened with the team, and yeah, the market structure kind of looks a little weak. But I forgot which ones they were. Yeah, let's take a look at XLM for sure. What's up, Pfizer? Hope all is well, bro. Yeah, let's take a look at XLM, because I know a lot of people that, yeah, API 3, yep. Okay, yeah, I know a lot of people that are in XRP. They likely also have XLM because they move very, very similar. So this is XLM here. We'll take a look at it. So I'll show you two different charts. So there's this chart right here, right? We swept this low. Then we had a range reclaim and then a move back down to the range as support. So it looks like we're just consolidating within here. And we may see a push like this, right? A liquidity sweep within this pennant. But ultimately, I do expect a push above this internal range of liquidity, sitting at 51 cent, with our draw on liquidity being the 786 at 55 cent. So I do expect to move up here to 55 cent eventually, maybe after this consolidation is over at the lows of this range, see a little bit of a push back and then continuation to then take out this external range liquidity sitting at 60 cent. So now this is XLM from a liquidity point of view, and it does look like all of the necessary levels have been swept in order for us to have a healthy move to the upside. We may see a push down here just for a liquidity sweep down to this like 702, 786 region, and then see us get bought back up from there. Worst case scenario, we come down to this 200-day moving average at a little bit shy of 25 cent. And then we see a push up from there. So this is the liquidity point of view on XLM, still super bullish. And then when we take a look at the macro wave count, let me just pull it up here. So this is the macro count here on XLM. We'll take a look at it on the weekly right here. And yeah, it's looking good. Just consolidating at the 61.8% fib. So if we zoom in a little bit, take a fib from this low here in October up to this high, we can see that it has wicked down to the 618 here. And that would be on the linear scale. Let's take a look at it on the log scale. And it's come down to the 38.2% fib. Okay, so bullish as long as this low holds. And if it doesn't hold, then it'll likely just be a wick to the 200-day on the high time frame, and then we see a nice push up from there to take out these highs. But yeah, I don't think that the top is in on XLM yet. The reason I say that is because we have this huge range with our equal highs sitting at around 74-75 cent. So we have what's called equal high buy side liquidity of our macro range. We need to take that out. Now, it's likely we will be headed towards $1.20 to $1.90, simply because if we take a fib from this high in December down to our expected low, we see that the 2.618 is there up to the 4.618. And then if we take a fib from the all-time high down to the lowest recorded price within the range, from 2021 high down to 2022 low, look where the 2.618 is, right there around that same region, $1.80, and then the 1.618 is at $1.16, which is right over here. And then you can also use your trend-based fib to find confluence, but in layman's terms, just to simplify it, you'd want to look to ladder out of your XLM position as the price approaches 90 cent up to $1.90. So within this red region, you'd want to look to ladder out. Not financial advice. But XLM is still good. I mean, we had a huge push to the upside here, and after a huge push, you're going to see consolidation, right? This is just our consolidation zone. You can get some nice trades in here, but it's more likely than not that you'll get chopped out. But yeah, this is XLM. Looks pretty good. Yeah, we'll take a look. We'll take a look at RH ecosystem for sure. But before we do that, we're gonna take a look at API 3 and just see what it's doing, because I know a lot of people are in API 3. Okay, yeah, this is API 3 here. So now look at the wave count here on API 3. It looks like a ABC correction and a slam back to the lows. We actually made a new low within this macro range. Okay, so this is API 3. And this is the range that we've been in for almost 1,000 days. Okay. We have bullish divergence. Bullish divergence forming on the MACD on the daily time frame. And within this 3 years of accumulation going sideways, we've been almost 1 year within this creek. So this creek to the downside, we've been within it for 1 year. Like when we take a look at XRP, we see something very similar, right? This is your accumulation range on XRP. I remember going through this range and explaining it so many times before XRP took off, telling you guys not to worry, because within this larger range, within the entirety of this Wyckoff range, lasting for almost 1,000 days, we had almost a year of creek. See, this is your creek phase. You see how it's just creaking down? So within the entirety of this range, this creek lasted almost 1 year. And we can see the same thing with API. The creek may manifest in many different patterns, such as a broadening wedge, descending channel, falling wedge. In this case, we have a broadening wedge, a nice ABC slam back down to the lows. And when we dissect just this C wave here, it looks like we're within the fifth wave. Like this looks like a wave 1. This looks like an ABC up for your wave 2. This is our third wave finish, came up for a wave 4, up to the 23.6% fib. And now either we have a truncation of the fifth wave here to these fibs, but if we go below 75 cent on the daily, then it's likely this wave 5 will slightly make a lower low right here, just so we can form some extra divergence on the indicator. Okay. But I would say most of the downside move is already completed for the altcoin market. When we take a look here, we can see from the top in February 2024, we've gone down 85.9%. So if we go down just a little bit more, I mean, what's 1 or 2% more, right? 1 to 3% more. It doesn't make much of a difference. So just be very careful holding on to a bearish and bullish bias for too long. Because the market doesn't like to stay in one position for too long. Like the markets eventually bounce back. Sometimes they don't, but most of the time they do, right? And you know, the most bullish people, all the way down, they end up getting bearish at the lows. But usually whenever, and you know, some of you guys, that may happen to you guys too, right? You may end up just getting bearish at the lows here because you guys are exhausted, and you know, that's understandable. But usually if you ever catch yourself doing that, that usually means that we're close to a bottom, right? Always just pull out this price range tool. Let's see how far we came down. Came down almost 87%. So, I mean, to get bearish here, it can be dangerous because it's more likely that we'll see a push to the upside in the markets rather than us going like too low, like maybe just a sweep, but it looks pretty good. So this looks like your spring. We came down for your test, and we're gonna see a push up from these fibs, and then a move down for your LPS, and then you have what's called your jump across the creek. But yeah, this is API 3. Looks good so far. Let's go back to XRP here, and then I'll pop out the chat. Chat. But yeah. Why do you sound like you're underwater? Is the mic still messed up? Let me know if Zap dead. Yeah, we'll take a look at Cake. For sure. Okay, yeah. You know Zap? A lot of people got into Zap in the 2021 run. And then it went down by like 99%. And everyone thought it was dead. I mean, we'll check it out. Let's see if it's dead or not. You know what's crazy to me is that during all of that BS that has happened in the market, Zap stayed at these lows. Like Zap hasn't gone down below these lows. I find that really interesting. Very low liquidity coin considering you have these crazy wicks. but these lows held. These lows held on ZAP, the 88.6% fib. So if we take a fib from this low over here up to this high, we double bottomed off the 886. Now we have a higher low structure forming. So I do see a scenario in which ZAP comes up to these retracements because we still have a lot of trapped holders that are above the price, that are above the current price. Like, look at the way ZAP came down, right? Just a straight, kind of like a straight line down without any significant retraces up. So what I would be expecting is when we do have expansion with the rest of the market and coins continue on with their uptrend, I think that ZAP will all of a sudden see a blast up to the retracements, which would be a selling opportunity before we continue on with the downtrend. Okay, so I do see a move up to at least the 61.8% fib at 5 cent, but I think it comes to the 702 at 8 cent and maybe the 786 at 13 cent. So 8 to 13 cent would be big de-risk play. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, these lows have held. And that's the thing. Usually the lower liquidity the coin has, the higher the price goes, not the other way around. In fact, the more liquidity you have in the coin, the less high it goes. That thinking may sound very counterintuitive, but that's just how the market works, right? Lower liquidity, higher prices, more volatile. Higher liquidity, less volatile, lower prices. Because you also have people selling. With high liquidity, that doesn't necessarily mean that's all buy pressure, right? So yeah, ZAP is okay. We've held these lows for, let me see here, 231 days we've held these lows. So there's a market maker or composite operator, they're keeping their buy wall here. You can clearly see it. So we'll see how it plays out. I wouldn't recommend getting into ZAP if you've never gotten in before. This analysis was mostly just for the people that are still holding this coin from the last run. Trump rug coin. That's hilarious. Sounds like you got a mad cotton mouth. Nah, it's just the mic, bro. Here we go. Where do you set a new low? Could you check theta and KDA's lower low TP? Let's take a look at KDA. So KDA looks like it's just ranging here at the fibs. Now let's see if it made a lower low. Let's go on the 3-day time frame. Check this out. You know, I don't see a lower low on KDA. I mean, if it did come down, below 0.4365, which would be the 88.6% fib, measured from the bottom of the spring up to the high. If it did come down below that 886, then it's likely it would just come down to this range low. Like it would probably do this, come down to the range low, and then see the pop up from there. Worst case scenario, that's what I see. I don't see us making any more significant lows, simply because from these highs, we've come down by 78%. Let's come down to the 4-hour time frame here. Okay, yeah, so there's this scenario where we slightly sweep this low. And what we can do to find the fibs is you just take a trend-based fib from this high down to this low and up to this counter trend. And you see we hit the 786 here. And the 886. So if we did make a new low, it would probably come down to the 100% fib at 0.3815. So like this. Or we just come down to these fibs, right? But overall, like, this just looks like our manipulation, our chop, before we grind on out of here, of this larger accumulation range that we've been in for almost 3 years. But yeah, this is KDA. I'm just gonna get some water, guys, one sec. Can you fix super chat option? The super chat doesn't work? Let me put timestamps on as well, because I know everyone, they want the timestamps. I'm not sure how to fix the super chat, but no worries. We'll do it in the next stream. But okay, yeah, let's take a look at cake. Okay, so this is cake right here. I actually did 2 scenarios on cake. This is the wave count. Okay, so this is cake right here on the Binance pair. And it's within a falling wedge-like structure, a triangle pattern. This could be a WXY. And then we see a push up for our wave 3. But if we can't stay above these lows here, so if we can't stay above $2.23 and this low here at $2.32, then it's likely we'll come down for this C wave, which would likely be a wave 2. It would come down to any of these fibs, with our bullish invalidation being $1.61. So this over here would be our inval. Okay. But so far it's just chopping within this falling wedge-like structure. What we would want to see here going forward is for these lows at 233 to hold, and for us to see a push above $3.17 in order to confirm that we're going to go up to take out these highs at 340, before our third wave. Now, this third wave would likely come to around the $10 to $11 region, 10 to 10.50, come down for a wave 4 correction before coming up for your wave 5, which would likely be around the $11 to $12 level, right? And if we go on the daily time frame, this would likely just be your sign of strength in your Wyckoff range, and then you need to come down for a backup phase to the top of the range before we have continuation higher, likely towards the $20 region. Okay, so we can take a look here. You see how he slammed back down to the lows? I'm just gonna pull up this. You see how you're creaking? You're creaking right here. You're chopping back and forth, and then all of a sudden you slam back down to the lows. This looks pretty much like every altcoin out there. KDA, Theta, ETH, Cake did this. So many coins slammed back down to the range lows, and some of them even made a slight lower low or a new low. Like, for example, API 3. Now, we have that push up, and then we come back down. For your ST, you see this number 8? At this number 8, that's usually when people sell it all, because they think that it's going to make a new low below the spring, and that this is just a lower high. But then all of a sudden you have your jump across the creek. Okay, it happens very quick, and most market participants don't expect it. Just like they didn't expect Cake to do this at the spring, but it did it, and it front run, right? So yeah, this is Cake. I think this is an extension of the fifth wave within our wave 1. And then right now we're just consolidating within this wedge. If we can't get above these Fibonacci resistance levels, then it's likely we'll come down for a C wave towards any of these fibs, with our bullish invalidation being $1.61. But it looks good so far. $0.80 incoming for XRP. It's not going to 80 cent, bro. But Phoenix, please, I'm down bad. Thank you for that super chat. Really appreciate it, bro. Let me see here. Hello, Pip. Hello, bro, Pip. Pulse X, please. Okay, sure. Guys, we can't do a live stream without checking on the RH ecosystem. You know, in every live stream we check that out. Thank you so much, Mina. I really appreciate that. I just want to check this guy's coin because he says he's down bad. So let's check. Let's take a look at it. 800 cents. Okay, let's take a look at this coin. Damn, this coin took a beating. But let me see if there's more history on this coin. Is this it? Let me see here. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. What the He says he's down bad, so like I don't wanna skip his coin. FNX, please. Okay, I mean I'll take a quick look at it. Looks like an ending diagonal. See if there's any divergence. So yeah, this looks like an ending diagonal, and you may see manipulation down below this low. This could be an A, a B, and then a C wave. It could be, but it's pretty hard to tell because there's not much history, but it looks okay so far. If we do come down, I'm sure it'll just be what's called a throw over of this wedge here. Notice how the waves are kind of overlapping. But yeah, this is Phoenix. Can XRP hit $100? Yes, it could hit $100, but likely not this cycle. Pip. I just saw your message and then it disappeared. That's so strange. Yeah, we'll take a look at LCX, but let's take a look at the RH ecosystem first. Let's take a look at PulseX. Let's check up on it. PulseX is very resilient. I noticed that. Okay, so this is PulseX over here. Very, very squeezed. Like I said in my last live stream, it's just within this huge wedge. And yeah, you have your A wave. This would be your first wave in the market. So from the airdrop up to the high, this is your A wave. Now, the reason it's an A wave and not a wave 1 is simply because a wave 2 can't be a triangle, but a B wave can. So this is your A wave, and then you have what's called a triangle pattern for your wave 2, lasting almost 2 years. So this is around 653 days of accumulation. Within each of these macro waves here, A, B, C, D, E, you're going to have an ABC for the subdivisions of the, to subdivide these macro waves. You're going to have an ABC for each of the coins. Now, I did put a box here in my last live stream. Right over here, I put a box. And this box was to signify what I like to call a no trade zone. So don't trade in and out in this section of the chart because this macro structure is so squeezed, right? Don't trade in and out here. It was okay to trade in and out here, but as we're approaching this apex where we're about to get squeezed, it's best not to trade in and out, but just simply to be a buyer anytime we get a dip. So now I showed here in my last live stream, this is your A wave. This is your A wave down. And then you have an A, B, C for your B wave. And now we're coming down for your C wave. to these fibs before we blast off. Now, all I did to find these fib supports is I just took a fib from our September low up to our December high. Okay, so I would say worst case scenario, we come down to 4017.85. Worst case scenario. Otherwise, we should see the push up from here, and we could say that this is our low. So what I would want to see here going forward from PulseX Bulls is a push above this level. You see this level here? At 405039 and 404635. And that's the 702 and the 786 measured from this high down to this low. So if we can get back above these two levels here, this level, then it's very likely the low is in over here. But if we end up losing 403113, then it's likely we'll come down here to finish up this C wave of our E wave within our larger B wave on the macro structure before we come up for that C wave to the upside. You'd mainly want to look to take profits at the 2.618 and 4.236, and then save some just in case it goes higher. Most wanted. I'm dead. Yeah, I'll do face reveal when cake hits $10. Yeah, I'll do that. That's hilarious. Okay, XDC. XDC, why is your target way less? Yeah, that's mostly why XDC it kind of front run. It moves on its own, and it's closer to the range highs than it is to the lows. I mean, you could say the same thing about HBAR, but to be safe on XDC, you'd mainly want to look to ladder out as soon as it hits the 1.618. Not financial advice. Just by taking a linear base fib from the last all-time high down to the bear market low. I mean, it could go higher, but you want to be safe. Let's take a look at incentive token, and then we'll take a look at the rest of the coins that you guys have been asking for sure. So incentive token is looking good. From the last live stream, I did say that we were just this was just a check back to mid-range before we start our next leg to the upside. Okay, see, it's just a check back. And these are all of the Fibonacci retracements for incentive token. We'll go on the 4-hour time frame so you guys can see. This looks to me impulsive. This looks like an impulsive move up. So it wouldn't surprise me that we're now coming down for a wave 2. So this is a wave 1 to the upside until proven otherwise. And these are all of your Fibonacci retracement levels right here. Yeah, right over here. Really nice bounce off the 702. And we're currently above the 618. So if we go below the 886 at $1.63, then that would be our invalidation level, and then we would have to reassess this range. This Wyckoff accumulation range. This actually looks like a broadening bottom pattern. I like how it's broadening out here. Like almost like this, right? Like a megaphone pattern at the lows. What I would want to see here going forward on incentive token is a push above all of these Fibonacci retracement levels. Boom, right there. Okay, we want to see a move above this 618,702 at 344 to 362. Okay, but so far we're looking good. This just looks like an impulsive move up. This is our wave 2 before we have the next leg higher. But I would want to see these Fibonacci levels hold. Now, for all of the people that hold INC, don't forget that incentive token has been going sideways for almost 1 year. Now, when you go sideways for that long, it's very unlikely that it's distribution, especially when the price is coming from the highs, right? You come from the highs and then you go sideways for almost a year. That's more likely than not accumulation before we enter into expansion. And this could be your wave 1, your first wave within that expansion to the upside. But we'll continue to monitor incentive token and the health of the rest of the ecosystem. But so far, everything looks good with the market structure. Thanks for the TA. No problem, bro. Hey, Pip. Okay, we'll also come back to this question on XTC. So we'll take a look at XTC. We'll definitely come back to that question. And yeah, we'll take a look at DGB for sure. And Filecoin. Nah, bro. Okay, let Richard put his mugshot on a meme coin and made billions. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at Algorand. Okay, so this is Algorand over here. Now, I did label this the no panic zone because, like I said, it's very likely that we're going to see chop within this region. We may even make a slight lower low, but in a scenario in which we do that, it would likely just be deviation and wicks below this 200-day moving average. You see this 200-day moving average right here? So we can put it on our chart and then make it thicker so it stands out more. 200-day moving average sits at around 24 cents. So we may see a wick below it on the small time frame. We may go below it, but on the high time frame, it'll just look like a wick, right? That's why I labeled it as the no panic zone. And another reason why I labeled it that is simply because we already went down by 64%. And in doing so, we also came down for what's called the backup phase in Wyckoff accumulation. So this huge range over here is Wyckoff accumulation. Let me try to find, yeah, okay. Okay, so you have your preliminary supply. Now I noticed that we always take a look at ALGO. Always take a look at the Wyckoff structure on ALGO in all my live streams, and I walk you guys through it. So this is our preliminary supply. One last upswing before we enter into a selling climax, which is this guy right here. You then have an automatic rally to the upside. This is your automatic rally, second test, and fail break. Automatic rally, second test, fail break. Then we come down for your ST in phase B. This is your ST in phase B. Come back up to the top of the range. And actually this is a Wyckoff schematic number 2. It's this one right here. Now the only difference between schematic number 1 and number 2 is that for number 2, we don't make a new low below your ST in phase B. So we never made a new low. You see how we went to the top of the range and then came down 88.6% of the way, but we never made a new low. And then all of a sudden, after this low is in, we have what's called a jump across. We jump across this creek, and then and then we have your SOS. So this would be max euphoria, which would be this guy right over here. This guy. Okay. But after your SOS, we need to come back down to the top of the range. And what did we do over here? We came down to the top of the range in an ABC formation. And we also came down to the 200-day moving average. So in a scenario in which we make a lower low, it would likely just be pure manipulation. And I would say not to panic. Okay? Because this looks like it's just a wave 4. Because you had your wave 1 here. You had your wave 1, WXY for your wave 2, 5-wave move up for your wave 3, and a 3-wave move down for your wave 4. You may see chop and manipulation within this region, but ultimately I would be expecting a move for your wave 5. Likely to be extended. Take profits at 96 cents to $1.30, which would be around the 702.786 retracement measured from the last all-time high down to the bear market low. The reason you'd want to take profits here is simply because we don't know if this is a C wave. And nothing is guaranteed in crypto. So take some profits here, but don't sell it all, because it could still come up for a wave 5 to then take out this all-time high. So never sell it all, just take majority, not financial advice. But overall, ALGO is looking good. ALGO is looking pretty good. It's just consolidating at these highs. Let's take a look at most. This is a meme coin on PulseChain network. Let's see if it's rugged or not. Yeah, it looks pretty good so far. Like I said in the last live stream, right? It's okay if we come down and consolidate at these highs. But as soon as you get back down to this middle band here at 0.0866 and then get 4-hour closures below it, then maybe this accumulation structure may last a little bit longer. But ultimately, I would be expecting our third push to the upside, because we had our first wave of euphoria, which was over here. A lot of people never really had time to react. They just heard about it on Twitter, right? And then within this range, that's where everyone started accumulating, hence why we're going back and forth, making a Wyckoff range, right? But there's still people speculating on this. We need to have this third push up. And then in this third push, as it gets to around here, you would expect the trend to die off and the hype to die off, and for us to come down again, and then we'll see from there. But as long as these range highs hold, most should be okay. If it doesn't hold, then it's likely it's just going to be a little bit of a longer accumulation structure. So yeah, I personally would buy IOTA over ALGO. And the reason for that is because IOTA is still at the lows. Now IOTA is a very interesting structure. It actually reminds me a lot like SUI. And look how well it's holding this 200-day moving average here. It's holding it really well. Let's take a look at the 3-day time frame here, and I'm going to show you the similarities of IOTA and SUI. Now SUI, it obviously front run, okay, but many coins have front run, and you know that's actually a really good thing, because we can look towards those coins and see if there's any coins with a similar market structure but are further behind. Okay, this is SUI. The top here is IOTA and the bottom here is SUI. So you came from the bear market. So this is your peak over here on IOTA. This is your peak on SUI. Came down to an extreme. Came down to an extreme here on IOTA. Had one more push up. One more push up. Another nasty correction. IOTA went down 96%. SUI went down 78%. Okay, so it's still, both of them still had a nasty correction. And then we come down to this low. We have a double bottom. This is your double bottom like structure. And then we sweep it with this wick. And we did the same thing here. We had this double bottom structure, and then we sweep it with this guy over here before we get bought back up in a very impulsive fashion. Taking a look on the daily time frame, you see how impulsive this was? So this was your wave 1, then you came down for an ABC correction for your wave 2. We also sweep this high, very similar to what SUI did. We swept the high, came down to the retracements, and then we blasted off from there. You see? Sweep the high, come down to the retracements, and then off we went. Targets. Let's take a look at the targets here. Just wondering what, where did I put this? So this is ATOM. Or sorry, that was ATOM, my bad. But yeah, IOTA looks good. IOTA looks good. I think it moves to $1.96, which would be about a 7 to 8x. Now ALGO can do a 7 to 8x, but it's gonna be a little bit more tough considering it's already had its move above the macro range. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Please, Om. Yeah, I'll take a look at Om. What's your favorite chart ROI? That's a good question. You know, I take a look at so many charts a day that it's hard to just tell you. Like, it's hard to just tell you a coin with the highest ROI. Because I take a look at so many charts every day that, like, I just don't know off the top of my head. Maybe I could tell you strong coins. I could tell you coins that show inherent strength and accumulation, and coins that are about to front run. That's the most I can tell you. But I can't tell you clear favorite chart. Okay, what's a clear chart? Litecoin is very clear to me. ALGO is clear. I like Cake, BNB. XRP is very clear to me right now as well. There's more coins, but I'll tell you in the Discord. Okay, let's take a look at Ohm over here for sure. And we'll take a look at DGB. I know you guys wanted to see that. Does DAG have a future at all? It does have a future. I'm going to show you a DAG chart that I did for one of my members. And this is a macro chart on DAG. It may not occur like this, but this is what I see so far. Okay, now as long as 0.0282 holds, then it wouldn't surprise me that we come up to fill inefficiency higher up on the chart for the C wave of this fifth wave within our larger first wave to the upside. I think this is a macro leading diagonal pattern. So yeah, DAG may do this. Let's take a look at Ohm. So now we called Ohm in the Discord. It went up by over 100%. And yeah, it actually hit our second target here at the 2.618 extension. So this was Ohm in the Discord. Let me try to find it. So this was Ohm over here. See, it was just within reaccumulation. And now when we take a look at Ohm, it's gone up by over 100%. We can take a fib from this high down to this low before we took off. And it's hit the 2.618 here. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just take partial profits here. Not financial advice. It's likely going to go higher though. It's likely going to hit this 4.236 at 15. But you see here, there's a wick forming here on the daily at the 2.618. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to just skim some profits here, considering it's such a major fib. We can take a look at the RSI as well. And okay, so there's some slight bearish divergence here. So this is what's called Class C bearish divergence. Now, wouldn't it be a bad idea to take just a little bit of profit if you are in profit? These are the Fibonacci retracement levels right here. So this may be a wave 1, a wave 2. You may come down for a wave 4, and then you have a wave 5 up here. But yeah, 2.618 TP, 3.618, and then 4.236. Save some coins just in case it goes above 1563. But this is Ohm. We called this beautifully in the Discord, up by over 100%. And yeah, basically it just did this reaccumulation after shakeout. Okay, looks pretty good. This is another BNB coin that is front run. Same thing for TEL. TEL front run as well. Do you see? TEL, we call this, went up by over 50%. This is TEL. And you know, Litecoin is doing the same thing as TEL. If we take a look at Litecoin, you see it's doing the same thing, you see? It's the exact same. We'll take a look at Filecoin, sure. Yeah, I know. So this is Filecoin over here. Almost 3 years of accumulation, 960 days. Classic Wyckoff accumulation. Remember, when we go sideways at the lows, that's a bullish thing, not bearish. Remember that. Now, if you don't know Wyckoff, right now would likely be the most tough in the market for you. But the good thing about Wyckoff is that you can follow along with this diagram. Now, Wyckoff it's just where the composite operator or the hidden hand is accumulating. So when you hear that whales are accumulating or whales are buying, that doesn't necessarily mean they're buying and then holding it all throughout the range. They likely play this Wyckoff accumulation range, buy at the pivots, and then sell into the advances so they can accumulate more at the lows of the pivot, right? This is all the composite operator is doing, just selling, just buying at the pivot points, the swing lows, and then selling at the highs, and then accumulating back and forth. This range is controlled by the CO. Okay, and it looks here, like on the weekly time frame, we have a bullish hammer on Filecoin. RSI, we have bullish divergence on the weekly. You see higher low, but then lower low on Filecoin, and then yeah, this is your spring, your last point of support, and then we should have a test up here. So I do see a move back up to the 200-day moving average sitting at $4.39. Worst case scenario, we have a flush down to the 786 at 280. Actually, I wouldn't say this is the worst case scenario. I would say that this could happen. But if we did come down to the 786, I wouldn't panic. This would be the worst case scenario where we slightly make a new low, very, very slightly, like a wick. But ultimately, I would be expecting higher on Filecoin, considering we've been within this accumulation range for almost 1,000 days. Now, when we're taking a look at the targets, we can do two things. We can take a fib from this from the highest recorded price within this range down to the low, and we do see these fibs here. You see these fibs? And then what you can also do is take a fib from the all-time high, so from this high over here, down to the lowest recorded price, which is right here actually. And then you want to take a look at if these fibs line up, okay? So 13 to 17, I think the highest record, I think it'll go to the 618 at $40. This is a big TP, this 23 to 26 level, okay? The reason I say that is because prices usually go to they usually expand to the 2.618. Whenever you have a Wyckoff range, the expansion usually takes it to the 2.618. And that's sitting at 26. And then the 50% fib is sitting at 23. So 23 to 26, big TP, we could come down like this for your backup phase and then continue on higher from there. Okay, so that's why this TP2 is it's a big TP, and then the third TP would be sitting at around 35 to 59. But yeah, it looks good. Is Ondo a good bet for the RWA narrative? Yeah, it is a good bet. The reason I say that is structure looks good, and the Trump team bought as well. So if they're taking a bet on it, then I'm sure it'll be okay. This is your 5-wave move up for your wave 1. You have a WXY correction for your wave 2. And now we're making higher lows for your third wave up. This looks like a bullish descending broadening wedge pattern. you had a wick down to the 200-day moving average, or the 786, measured from our November low. And then we had a wick fill down to the 702. Okay, so we may wick to $1.04 right over here at the 786 to come back to tap this 200-day moving average one more time. But ultimately, I would be expecting a grind to the upside for your wave 5 of 3. That'd be sitting at around 290 to 324. Bullish invalidation would be to see a move below the 786 at 91 cent. Or sorry, 86 cent, because that's the 786 measured from our August low up to this high. Let's check up on XRP, see what it's doing. Do you FRA, do you think the bottom is in or a confirmed rug? TA on PTGC. I know some. So okay, we'll take a look at that. PTGC. We'll definitely take a look at Litecoin, because Litecoin is super strong. We actually just compared Litecoin to TEL. Litecoin is doing the same thing as TEL before it blasted off by over 40%. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at this coin called Mina, because we're gonna take a look at that first, and then we'll take a look at the rest of the coins, because there was someone who asked for this in my DMs, but I forgot to take a look at it. And I really like this structure so far, simply because this looks exactly like a Wyckoff's structure. And we also have 3 floors here. Remember in my last live stream, I said that in order to identify Wyckoff accumulation ranges, you'd want to look for 3 floors of price action. And we have it here so far. This looks like a Wyckoff accumulation range. And we've been within this Wyckoff range for about 958 days. We had a slam back down to the lows, and we even made a new low here. So I would consider this like your spring. This is pure Wyckoff. Preliminary supply. Selling climax. Automatic rally, second test, fail break. automatic rally, second test, fail break, move down for your ST, move back up to the top of the range, come down, and you have your creek, and you slam back down to the lows. So you have an ABC correction and you slam back down to the lows and even slightly make a new low. Now we're coming up here and it's likely we're going to chop within this region for your ST after your spring. So this is your second test after your spring before we have that jump across. Now what I mainly want to be looking at over here is to see a move. Let's take a look at all these fibs here. To see a move back above this 236. If we can get above 61 cent, which is just about 100% gain, then it wouldn't surprise me that we then see expansion out of the range above 169. This also looks like a really nice megaphone pattern or a broadening bottom pattern. You see? So you see your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 up here. 5 up here. Before you slam back down to these range lows. You see this slam? Like any retail investor would get super spooked over here. It may make a new low, which we did, but it's the same thing. Broadening bottom pattern, and then and look at the RSI on the daily. We dipped into this oversold territory for the Fibonacci levels. For the TP levels, we'd be taking a look at the 2.618, 3.618. And the 1.618. So right here, big TP. All the way up here, you'd want a TP. Okay, these are your TP levels right here. Bullish invalidation would be to see a move any daily closures below 0.2745. That would be bearish. That would be bullish invalidation. Consecutive daily closures below this level, but it looks good. Actually, I remember trading Mina back in 2023, right over here. I remember this structure. Yeah, it went up crazy. I like this coin. Considering this coin has been within this broadening bottom pattern, this Wyckoff structure for almost 1,000 days, that's something to be paying attention to, considering we also have bullish divergence on the weekly time frame. Higher low, but lower low. Higher low on the RSI on the weekly, but lower low on the price. So yeah, that's Mina. LCX, sure. And Litecoin for sure. So like I said in my last two live streams, Litecoin is likely to see expansion this month. It's doing the exact same thing as TEL before it blasted off by over 40% above its ascending triangle. So this is the ascending triangle for Litecoin, and then this is TEL right here. See? These are all your fib supports for Litecoin as of now. Okay. So if we see a flush down here, don't panic, but I would be expecting expansion out of this 79 day long range so far. For TEL, it was a 60-day long. It was around the same time, 60 to 70 days. Same thing over here. And then we have consolidation at the highs, which was this guy over here on TEL. But yeah, Litecoin looks good. Really nice push down to the 200-day moving average. And then when we take a look at Litecoin on this chart that I made, I'm just trying to see if this is the one or if I deleted it. Okay, yeah, I probably deleted it, but I also wanted to point out that this was acting as resistance for 3 years, since February 2022. And this is the first time we've finally come down and flipped it into support here. So you see how many times we've rejected off of it for 3 years now, just trying to break out. But the hidden hand or the composite operator is not allowing that to happen in order for them to accumulate more shares at the lows or more coins at the lows. They sell and then they buy in the pivot. So we finally flipped that level into support. We've not only tapped it once, but we've tapped it twice, and we also came down to the 200-day. So I would be expecting a breakout this month in let me see, it's February 23rd. So yeah, a breakout this month, and we should see a move in March to the higher retracements, likely to around 326, which would be the 786. So right up here. Right up here to these guys. Okay. This actually, it reminds me a lot like this setup here. Let me see where the 21 week is. Yeah, so I really like how it's used this 21 week. Trying to find or sorry, it was the 30 week right here, 30 week. Okay, so you see, this is your accumulation range. We break out, come back to tap the 30-week moving average, and then we continue on higher. Let's see where the 30-week is here. Yeah, so the 30-week is the 200-day. Let's remove this 200-day. It's the same thing. We came back to tap it. And so it's doing this exact, let me see. It's doing this thing right here. So, okay, yeah, we'll take a look at Cava. Okay, it's just within the accumulation range. We may see a sweep like this. Yeah, we may see something like that on Cava, or we take out the highs first. So this is Cava. The macro chart looks fine. You see how squeezed we are within this huge falling wedge? So, I mean, if we did come down here, wouldn't be a cause for concern. Don't forget that this is our no panic zone. Okay? The reason it's our no panic zone is because, number one, Cava is so squeezed within this falling wedge, within this huge falling wedge that we've been in since 2020. Okay? And also because this is our classic power of three setup. You have your accumulation, your manipulation, and your distribution. So a classic power of three setup, and then a power of three setup in a bullish falling wedge. So yeah, that's Cava. It's just chopping at the lows. So this is cubic, and one of the members was asking if this could be an A, a B, and then a C wave. It's definitely possible. But in a scenario in which this is an ABC, and then we start our impulsive move down, it still needs to come up for a wave 4. So the least optimistic scenario on cubic would be that we come up here for a wave 4 or a falling wedge fake out, and then continue on down for our wave 5, where this would be your wave 1, this is your wave 2, this is your third, fourth, and then fifth, or this is your wave 1, 2, and then we come down. But now that's the least optimistic scenario, right? The most optimistic scenario is that we're about to do our C wave up. So this is your 3-wave move up. This is your 3-wave move down for your B wave, and then we have a 5-wave move to the upside to sweep this high, which would be a nice 400% gain, right? Your A, B, and then your C wave, like that. Okay. That's cubic, where this is cubic. And then this would be the alternate scenario. Where we just come up like this and then see more down. That's the least optimistic scenario. More optimistic scenario is that we come up in a 5-wave move. And what I've also noticed is we've come down to the 88.6% fib. See, we came down to the 886 right there. Pip Breton, please. Orchid, OXT. Yeah, my cake targets are higher. My cake target is around 17 to 22 bucks for cake, with the possibility of making a new all-time high towards 54, which would be, I think, the 1.236 extension from the all-time high down to the very low. However, I don't think it's gonna go up like in a straight line, but it may go up in a straight line to 11, because that would be your SOS. Don't, like, there's gonna, like, we're gonna have to alter the waves as the price develops, but 10 to 12 bucks is where I would be expecting a retrace from. Maybe down to around 460, 470. And that's the same thing that Ethereum Classic did. When we take a look at Ethereum Classic, we can see how similar the structure was to that of Cake back in 2020. You see, this was your accumulation range on Ethereum Classic. Okay. No different than what Cake did. You see, we went up to the range highs here and then slammed back down to the range low. Then we made our way to the upside right over here. And let's actually take a look at the USDT pair, because it has more liquidity and better price action. So I can show you what it looked like. So yeah, this was your range high, this was your mid range, and this is the lows of your range. We had this move up to range high. This move up to range high was like when Cake hit the 786 in December. And then we had a slam back down to the low. We actually made a new low here with this wick. You guys see that? Same thing a lot of coins are doing. We make a slight new low. And then within this chop over here is what makes people pull their hair out. So yeah, we slam back down to the lows, and then we finally break out of the range. So you see how ETC breaks out for your SOS phase and then comes down to backtest the top of the range here, dropping by almost 50%. And now that would be your backup phase. So this is your BU before you have continuation. So I'm thinking the SOS phase on Cake would be around the $10 to $12 level. It would be nicer if 10 to $12 wasn't the SOS. because then that would mean there's likely more upside to be seen to around the $22 level. But if I had to place my bets, I would say that 10 to 12 would be the SOS. But we'll see level for level. And remember, don't sell it all. Keep some coins aside, because nothing is a guarantee in the market. But this is the same thing that almost every coin is doing, right? Sweep of the range low. We sweep both sides of the range. We swept the range high and we swept the range low. Same thing that KDA is doing as well. KDA is like a spinning image of this too. So, yeah. This guy's asking for OXT. This coin looks a lot like Flare, just by the way it's moving here. Okay, so we've been within this range for almost 1,000 days, and we're holding above this middle band here. But yeah, so we did come down to the 702, or we came down to the 618. I see here on the log fibs. And if Bitcoin comes down, then it'll probably come down here and then blast off. If you lose the 786, then it'll come down and sweep these lows. Okay. But yeah, it's holding the 618. So it looks okay for now. But if it did come down more, it would likely just be towards this red region before we blast off. Worst case scenario, if we lose the 786, it's going to sweep this low at 0.054 to make your spring in this Wyckoff accumulation schematic. Now, don't forget that Orchid or OTX has been at the lows for 1,000 days. Now, you always have to ask yourself, what is the market doing? Is it trending up, down, or sideways? And right now it's trending sideways. So whenever you're trending sideways, that's likely to be accumulation, especially if it's at the lows. If it's at the highs, different story. That would be distribution. But so far, when we take a look at Orchid, we're still down 92% from the all-time high. We did come down around 95%. So really good buying opportunity. We would be taking a look at these Fibonacci targets right here at 31 cent, 22 to 31 cent. And then maybe we come down for your backup phase and then continue on higher towards the 786 at 53 cent. But yeah, Orchid looks good. It's just chopping within its own range here. EMAR properties? Arkham. Let's go back to XRP for a sec. Let's just see what it's doing here. Looking good so far. One guy was asking if Bitcoin looks okay. We'll take a look at BTC right now. Just chop at the lows. Just chop here at the lows. And I mean, if we did flush like this, there is a possibility of that, but right now it's just chopping here. My thoughts are that even if Bitcoin were to see a flush down here below the range low, alts would be okay. Because when we take a look at Bitcoin dominance, let's check this out. It looks like it's already topped here. I think that this was the top of your C wave and Bitcoin dominance is going to come down here. Taking a look at Bitcoin dominance on the 3-day time frame, or we can even take a look at it on the weekly, it looks pretty weak. We have a bearish shooting star, and then you have this long-legged doji that's forming, or this dragonfly doji on the weekly. So we'll see how this closes. It closes in about 8 hours and 48 minutes. And yeah, this looks like an ending diagonal. You have your 3-wave move up for your A wave, 3-wave move down for your B wave, and then a 5-wave move to the upside for your C wave. Notice how this C wave came towards the 786 when we measure the move from our 2020 high down to our September 2022 low. Now, I would say worst case scenario, if Bitcoin dominance hasn't topped out yet, it would likely just come to the 786 when we use the fib on the linear scale. So as you guys can see, on the log scale, Bitcoin dominance has topped out because it hit the 786. And then we also have a 3-wave move up to give us confluence of this being a 5th wave in the ending diagonal. However, in a scenario in which Bitcoin dominance makes its way back above this 62.31 to 62.8 at the 50 and 61.8% fib, then it's likely it'll just hit the 786 on the linear scale, which would be 66.18%. So this is the bullish scenario on Bitcoin dominance. We come up here, 66.18, and then see a massive decline from there. Otherwise, Bitcoin dominance is already topped. Either way, we're going to see a really nice push down, and that should get things starting to roll in the altcoin sector. But yeah, I do expect this weekly inefficiency to be tagged here around the 702, 786. Notice how you have this huge gap here. I would even consider this like an inversion fair value gap, considering you have two gaps adjacent to one another. And you know, that's what I've noticed in the markets, is that every strategy works, right? That's why you see, like, when you use many different strategies, they tend to have the same targets, because ALTA is really the same. It's just a different way of approaching the market. But yeah, Bitcoin dominance is topped, and if it hasn't topped, then it'll just come up to this 786 on the linear scale at 66.18. Either way, still super bearish on Bitcoin dominance. And then when we also take a look at the RSI here, we have triple negative divergence, and that's exactly what I would want to be taking a look at right from the start here. Let's go on the 3-day. Check this out. You see, as soon as we get into this ending diagonal, what do we start doing on the 3-day RSI? We start printing lower highs, even though we're printing higher highs in the diagonal. Okay, so we have triple negative divergence on the 3-day RSI as well. We can also take a look at this momentum indicator that I have. One of my friends, Frank, he put me onto this indicator. It's pretty cool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we'll check out where it is. Yeah, so look at it on the weekly. You guys see that? It's bearish. And it called the bottom here too. Called the bottom here. Called the top here. Called the top here. Called the top here. So yeah, I mean, we've been overbought for too long now on Bitcoin dominance, so we should see that move up soon. ETH is looking good so far on the weekly time frame, by the way. Let's go on this daily time frame. So this is the daily time frame on ETH. This is our manipulation zone within this yellow region. Either we see a push up to the 618 at 33.53, or we still have more chopping around to do, come down to these fibs before we grind up higher. But ultimately, I would be expecting a move to around $7,000 for the expansion of this Wyckoff reaccumulation schematic that we've been in for almost 1 year. Looks pretty good. This market is tiring, boss. Yeah, bro. Market for sure is tiring. But you know, this is what they want. And what do I mean by they? I mean by the composite operator who wants to accumulate before that expansion. Because the expansion, I'll tell you, the expansion doesn't start without that big money. That's who kicks it off. It's the big money who kicks it off, and it's the retail hype and FOMO that buys in while it's going up or after it's gone up, right? I think the next 2 weeks will be interesting. According to Bob Lucas, we are close to the end of the weekly cycle and the daily cycle. The next 2 weeks will be very interesting, for sure. Yeah, ticket EMAR stock. EMAR properties. Let's take a look at this. I'll just take a quick glance at it. I don't want to do too much analysis on this because I mean, it's trending up, so let's see where it is relative to its 2005 high. It's come up to the 786 here. So this could be an ABC correction. So I'd be very careful here. Let's take a look at the RSI. Okay, yeah, that's really overbought. So what I would say is be very careful here, because we've hit the 786, and the 786 is where you tend to see reversals in the market. Not always, but you tend to see reversals there. We've also swept this high right here. So this could be a flat pattern where you have a 3-wave move up, a 3-wave move down, and then a 5-wave move to the upside. However this is labeled. Okay? Now this wave 5, it could come to the 88.6% fib. It could come here to 1885, which from current prices would be about a 37% gain. As soon as you get above the 886 at 1885, then it's very likely that we're gonna take out 2585. But right now, be very cautious considering it's stalling out here at the 786, and we do have a lot of gaps below. I mainly want to be taking a look at this gap over here. Let's see if it can get filled. But yeah, it's at the 786. This is equities. Equities is still trending up, currently above its 200-day moving average. See, the global markets haven't topped out yet. They're in the midst of topping out, but we could see that equity still has some more room here to the upside. PulseChain, let's go. Hey Pip Sniper, do you use the golden cross as an indicator, 50 over the 200-day? I do use that as an indicator, and I see it as very reliable. Arkham is the best on-chain analytics platform with a market cap of only in the 100 millions. I didn't know they had a coin, bro. That's pretty interesting. Thank you so much for that, Big Woo. I really appreciate that super chat. I covered Pulse X at the beginning of the stream, but we'll recheck on the ecosystem, but I'll make sure to pay extra attention to PHEX and PLS. And we'll take a look at data too. For over a week. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this. So after this coin, we'll take a look at the PulseChain ecosystem one more time, and then we'll take a look at data. We'll come back to XRP and Cake, and we'll take a look at a few other important tickers, and then we'll end the stream, and then maybe we can do another stream. Let me see here. So I believe it's 10:23 a.m. on Sunday, so we can do another stream tonight or tomorrow after I do all those coins. But yeah, let's take a look at IOTA. Now, something I like about this coin right off the bat is we swept both sides of this range. You see this range over here? We swept both sides of it. And then let's see where it's come down to relative to the November low. Okay, so it's come just shy of the 618. So it may consolidate here and then see a push up. So this is what I'm thinking is this is your A wave or your wave 1 or your wave 1. Okay? This is your 3-wave move down in your A, 3-wave move up in your B, and then it looks like we have a 5-wave move to the downside that may or may not be complete yet. So either this C wave is in, or we still have a little bit more chopping around to do towards these fibs below. Now, as soon as you lose the 786 on the weekly time frame, or even the daily, then that would be bullish invalidation. But I really like how we have a low volume pullback. I like how the volume was decreasing, and it was low here as we were pulling back. That's what I like to see. It usually I think it means when it's let me see, week longs taking profit, I believe. Let me see here. Let's check the 3-day time frame on this coin. Okay, so we have a lower low from October 2023, but we have a equal low on the RSI. So we do have a little bit of bullish divergence, not too strong, but it's still there regardless. And yeah, we'll just see how these fibs play out, because we would be looking for a wave 3 or C. So this would be your 3 or your C wave. But I want to see it pop off first before I give the targets. But here are the trend-based fib targets here. Just a really rough estimate. So I think the 100% fib gets hit, which would just be a 1-to-1 extension. Waves of equal length. Okay, so around 168, around there. And here are all your fibs to the downside. So it looks pretty good so far. Okay, so this is PulseX. We showed this at the beginning of the stream. It's looking good. I would consider right now to be a no trade zone, considering the macro structure is very squeezed within this pennant. Bulls want to stay above 403.113 and get back above 405.028 in order to confirm that the correction is done here. If we can't do those two things, then it's likely we'll come down for our C wave toward any of these retracements before continuing up for our expansion. So this is PulseX, very squeezed, looking good, especially on the small time frame. Price is congested right now. And usually when price is congested, especially after such a move from the highs, it's usually when a lot of people make the most mistakes. They overthink, they sell at the lows. They tell themselves that prices are going to go lower. But usually when most of the move is already, when everyone is bearish, when no one is left to sell, or when there's hardly anyone left to sell, the price usually goes up from there, because we're pretty low. Let's take a look at PLS. So I showed you guys PulseX. PLS is same thing. Either the low is in over here, or we still have a little bit more downside to go. But this looks like just a huge triangle pattern. Some could say this is a bearish descending triangle, but the more optimistic scenario is that this is just a B wave. This is a triangle within a B wave. So this is your A, this is your B, and it's likely we're gonna break out when PulseX breaks out as well. Like it's very likely they'll move in unison because everything is liquidity bonded. And then here are the take profit targets. You mainly want to be taking a look at let me see, 306942, 309473, and 2011. So the 1.618 all the way up to the 4.236. This is incentive token. Incentive token is just consolidating at the fibs. We're thinking this is a wave 1 and we're just coming down for a wave 2. Let's take a look at Hex. Hex is looking okay. Just consolidating mid-range. Wouldn't surprise me that we see chop at these lows here. You see chop here? Same, kind of like a similar setup to that of Jasmy or Nvidia. Like when we take a look at Jasmy, we see that it had a head and shoulders pattern right here, and it just chopped at the lows before it blasted off. But because of where Bitcoin was at the time, it came down for a check back. But if Bitcoin didn't do that, it would continue on higher. But we could see the same thing for Nvidia 2023. You see head and shoulders fake out, wick below the neckline, and then continuation higher. So yeah, everything's looking good for the RH ecosystem. Hope you're doing well, Nate. Hope all is well, bro. Let's take a look at VThor. I think I remember doing VThor for my members. Trying to find where I put this chart. Can't find where I put this chart. Let me just check over here. Okay. So it's probably... Is it in here? Can't find where I put the chart, but we'll take a look at it. And yeah, this looks just like it's coming down for a wave 4. Here are all the fibs for VThor. It's looking good so far. It's not bearish because we've been making higher lows since September 2023. We'll see how this plays out. Let's go back to this guy's question here on the golden cross on PLS. I just want to see what he's referring to, because he does see that there's a golden cross here. So let me just see if we have that. Okay, so the 50 is actually crossed down below the 200. So that's a death cross. Now, whenever you see a death cross, that doesn't necessarily mean sell at all. It could just be consolidation under it before we eventually get that golden cross. Okay, so you're gonna see consolidation around this region, but yeah, ultimately I would be expecting a golden cross. And if we do get that golden cross, then that would be a good indication to step in. Like over here, we got the golden cross. And then as soon as we got that, we went up by over 82%. Even over here too, right? Went up by good amount. Yeah, can't forget quant, bro. You know, every live stream we take a look at QNT. Okay, let's take a look at QNT. I like QNT because it kind of moves on its own. Like it's stable. That's what I like about QNT. It's pretty stable. So yeah, nothing has really changed on QNT. And in the previous live stream, we did say that these highs would be likely to get swept, and we swept it over here. So you may see a slam like this back down to the retracements, but it's likely it'll just be manipulation. You have your selling climax, your automatic rally, your secondary test, your failed breakout, your secondary test in phase B. You may have a second failed break, and then we grind up out of the range. But so far it's just chopping. We did sweep these highs, so don't be surprised if we come down to these retracements here. Don't be surprised if that happens. Because let's not forget that we went down by over 56-57% already on QNT. A move like that is extremely big for QNT, and we also came down to the 200-day. Came down to the 200-day moving average. So chop around this 200-day moving average would be expected. On the daily time frame, we're still holding the range. Swept range highs, swept range lows, move back up to the range high. You have max euphoria set in. People opening up leverage longs at resistance. We have a check back to reset all of the euphoria in the market before we can have a healthy move to the upside. Now, the correction is likely done, but at the bottom of the correction, there's going to be chop. And during that chop, you're going to have a lot of people thinking we still have much lower to go. But in my opinion, most of the downside move is already done. We've also hit the 78.6% fib, and you know, like I say in all my videos, when you come down to that 786, that's likely a huge pivot. So chop within this region would make sense. It would pretty much just be the top of this support, or the top of this resistance that we've been using at these lows. So we used it as resistance here, but we're likely going to be using it as support over here. So a very nice SR flip, move back down to the 200-day and 786. So it wouldn't surprise me that we bottom out here, start to form a bottom, and then continue on towards these fib targets. I think the peak comes in at around 1700. Have you spoken about Sol yet, bro? Yeah, we'll take a look at Sol. Now, you know, in the last live stream, I did say that Sol was in classic Wyckoff reaccumulation. But considering the way it's been moving here, let me just check on it one more time. Okay, so if Sol loses the 786 at 136.65, then it's very likely that Sol is topped out and that this is a Wyckoff distribution structure. However, if we manage to stay above like this region and we have a nice bounce up, then this is probably, we'll stick with our Wyckoff reaccumulation thesis, in which we still have one more push up to go. This is Sol right here on the long-term chart. So we'll go on the black chart here so you guys can see. Go on the, yeah, so this is the black chart. So there is a possibility this could have been our 5. But if, as long as those levels hold here, and then we get back above these range highs at 186, then we could say, oh, okay, this is just reaccumulation before we go up for our last wave to around 661, 441 to 661, with the possibility of us hitting around the $900 to $1,000 level. Just a possibility, but mostly eyeing 411 to 661. But remember, if we lose like these lows, if we lose these fib supports here, then yeah, this is distribution. We could say that this is distribution, and then this is your up thrust after distribution before we continue on lower. What about Flare? Super bullish on Flare, bro. I think Flare is going to go to 30 cent, like I say in all my videos. Just simply because there's so much confluence there, like that's the 4.236 extension. And it's also the 702, depending on how you look at it. Super bullish on Flare. We'll take a look at it right now. Yeah, it's just consolidating at the 702, 786. Like I said in the last live stream, there is a possibility we come down to the 786. But if we do end up doing that, I wouldn't worry. Trying to find the Flare chart that I did here. Yeah, this is the Flare wave count chart. So it's likely we'll come down to the 7.8 to this 786 on the log scale. We've hit the 702 here, right over here. You see how we hit the 702? So we may come down to this 786 at around the 0.0154 level. Bullish invalidation would be to see daily closes below 0.01495. But so far Flare is looking good. Just finishing up this wave 2 before we start our next push to the upside. Now, the reason I say 30 cent is because when we go on the chart with the most liquidity in history, we do see that the 4.236 extension is right there at 29 cent, taking a fib from our February high in 2024 down to our low in November of 2024. Then what we can also do is take a fib from this high in August 2022 before the capitulation down, and then we see that the 786 is right there, 26 cent. So around the 25 to 30 cent, you want to look to de-risk heavily, not financial advice. XRP Proton quick look. Yeah, let's take a look at XPR. Wow, this coin is strong. I can already see here. We actually called the XPR in the Discord. Let me check if we called the XPR. Yeah, nice 8x from the lows. So this was the bottom call in November, right here. So this was the bottom call in November that I gave to the members. I think I actually put this on Twitter. So yeah, it went up there, and it looks like it's still continuing higher. So this has a lot of strength. Now you see this slam back down? You see this huge wick, this slam? This is the exact same thing XRP did. The only difference is that this showed a little bit more strength on the rebound. Okay, so this move here, that's the low. The low is in over here. This was just a liquidity sweep to take out all of this long leverage, to take out all of those stops before it can have a healthy move to the upside. Okay, so you have this huge wave 4, and yeah, we should see more upside on this coin. I would be expecting, let me see here, move up to this 786 at 0.0182. So maybe something like this. Yeah, so this would be your TP level, your TP region. The 702 up to the 786 has the possibility of wicking to 0.022. But I still see one more push up here for XPR. Really like the strength that it's displaying here. Very similar structure to that of XRP. Right? Nice ending or leading diagonal. Right? Something like that. So we took a look at XLM, we took a look at Solana. We didn't touch on Matic yet. We can take a look at Matic, super bullish on Matic. I think Bitcoin is in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I mean, if Bitcoin had a flush down, I talked about this, if Bitcoin had a flush down below the range low, alts would be okay because of Bitcoin dominance, right? So because there's more dominance geared towards the altcoin market, or it's gearing up for that, if Bitcoin were to flush, then altcoins would likely, they wouldn't make too much of a new low. I mean, some may make a little bit of a new low just to sweep the adjacent low, like in the form of a liquidity sweep. But I would say most of the downside move for altcoins are done. This actually reminds me a lot like, do you think we'll have capitulation on Bitcoin? Yeah, we'll take a look. Let's touch on Matic. Let's take a look at Matic. We'll come back to XRP, Cake. We'll take a look at a few other coins, and then we'll do another live stream tonight. Right now, I believe it's 11 a.m. New York time currently. So around maybe 9 p.m. New York time, I'll do another live stream. If not tonight, then definitely tomorrow. But yeah, let's take a look at Matic. So yeah, Matic, just reaccumulation. And it's gonna see chop within this purple region over here. So I'm looking for this structure to play out. I mean, we've been within this reaccumulation structure for about 1,400 days, and the sentiment is pretty dead on Matic. The sentiment is really dead over here. So chop within this purple region, or just at these range lows, I think it would make the most sense to me. Right? You need to chop out all of the people who've been accumulating here. And that chop, that shakeout usually happens at your spring before you have a jump across the creek. You see how you've just been kind of creaking your way down here? But I would be expecting your jump across the creek after this chop at the lows is finished. So I expect chop here. Okay. I would say a move down to around 23 cent wouldn't be something out of the ordinary if we did get that. Zooming in here on Matic on the daily time frame, we can look at the wave count. This looks like a wave 1, wave 2. This is your third, fourth, and then we're doing our fifth wave here. And within this fifth wave, we can see that it looks like it's just doing a sub wave 5, like this. You see? So chop within this region wouldn't be surprising. Yeah, something like this. If so, do you see Gala at 0.00748? Yeah, let's take a look at Gala. I know a lot of people in here are invested into Gala. So yeah, if Bitcoin were to flush, Gala would just come down to this red region here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a fib from this low back in August 2024 up to this high in December. And as you guys can see, we already came down to the 886. So the fib showed that we're extremely oversold as it is. Whenever you come down to the 786, 886, you're oversold. No doubt about it. We've also dropped by over 73%. So I would say a lot of the downside move is completed. But in a scenario in which Bitcoin breaks down, we may come down to this red region and just chop, right? You may even sweep this low very, very slightly like that, and then form divergence on the RSI, where you have a lower low on the price but a higher low on the indicator, and then we pop up from there towards at least EQ or equilibrium of this macro range. Okay, but you mainly want to be looking just for chop here. Be super careful taking any leverage longs because of this chop. Because we're having these chops, this chop at the lows, you want to be super careful taking any high leverage longs. I mean, if you want to do futures trading, I wouldn't recommend right now anything over 2x leverage. And if you're gonna take a trade, don't ape in one like in one sitting. Like, just ladder in slowly. You reduce your average all the way down at the lows. That's the best thing to do, and never go above 2x, especially in a scenario like this. But yeah, if we do come down, we'll just chop within this red region over here, with the possibility of sweeping this low towards the 100% fib, sitting at 0.01405. But yeah, just chop here at these range lows. Okay, just chop here. BSW? Spot for now is the best way. Yeah, I would say spot for now is the best way, for sure. Can XRP go to 20 this bull run? I don't see it, bro. You know what? I'm actually thinking XRP around March, April should see a top come in, maybe a local top. Then we come down for an A wave. We consolidate for a few months, maybe a month, maybe two. And then we come up for a B wave toward like the higher extensions. And then the C wave would be the bear market. I actually have a whole roadmap there in my Discord on XRP. I update XRP every day, or I try to. I did an update here on XRP at the beginning of the video. Let me check this out. Yeah, so this is XRP. Still consolidating here at these lows. Do you think it's a good idea to rotate our money from XRP to something else with more multiples left in it? No, don't sell your XRP. Hold your XRP right now. Right now, I wouldn't rotate. I wouldn't rotate. What is a reasonable leverage to use for regular trading? 2x leverage. But that's just me, bro. The reason I say 2x is because even if you did 3x leverage and there was a 20% wick, 60% of your trading bag would be gone. or the how 60% of however much you put into the position, because the average wicks in crypto are around 7 to 12%, with the possibility of coming all the way down or up to 30%. So XRP, okay, so the reason I'm saying, so yeah, there are other coins with more multiples in it, but the thing is you don't know really what will go first. I mean, you could take a look at like the Bitcoin pairs, but I want you guys to hold your XRP just to be safe. I don't want you guys to sell yet. Where do you see XRP local top in April? Okay, so we'll take a look at BSW. I know this guy's been asking for it. So we'll take a look at BSW here. We'll just take a quick look at it. Buy swap. Okay, so it does look bearish. It is trending down. It back tested the 200-day moving average, and it looks like we're continuing our way down here. I wouldn't consider, even though we have 3 floors here, I wouldn't consider this Wyckoff accumulation just by the way the structure is looking. Yeah, it's trending down, BSW. So in the next live stream, remind me about this coin so I can do an update on it and see where it is. But so far, these are the Fibonacci retracement levels right over here. We're on the 786 here. If we lose the 786 on the daily time frame, then it's likely we'll take out these lows at 0.032. Okay, we'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance, and then we'll come back to XRP. Before we take a look at that, we'll take a quick glance at Cake and BNB. I know a lot of people in the chat are invested in these coins. Let's take a look at Cake. Yeah, so like I said with Cake, it's either the low is in or it's going to come down to these Fibonacci retracement levels for a C wave before we turn up for our wave 3, likely to around the $10 level. When we take a look at BNB, super bullish on BNB. It looks like it's just coming down for a little bit of a retracement. This is the full wave count on BNB. I'm trying to see where I put this chart here. Okay, here's the full chart on BNB. Nice leading diagonal for your wave 1, ABC down for your wave 2. Going below 517 would be bullish invalidation, and I think we're going to have a melt up. Now that melt up would likely take us to around 1,000 to 1,500, which would be the 1.618 and the 2.618 measured from the last all-time high down to the bear market low. So I think we see a nice melt up on BNB, but on the small time frame, BNB may come down to these Fibonacci retracements over here. So if we go on the 30-minute, this is what I see it doing. Okay, these are all the Fibonacci retracement levels. Okay, so either this low is in or we come down to these levels before turning up again. It's just forming some type of diagonal like structure. we'll have to continue to monitor this to see how it plays out. But on the high time frame, the structure looks pretty bullish. Flare, I think, is going to go to 30 cent. I remember someone asking me in the chat, what about Flare? Flare is still on track. May come down a bit, but I expect higher. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance just to finish up the live stream. Yeah, Bitcoin dominance looking good so far. XRP, we'll go back to XRP. Okay, this is XRP. Okay, so XRP is within a leading diagonal, or what we think is a leading diagonal. These are the Fibonacci supports. Bulls must hold $2.49. Otherwise, we're going to come down to this oversold territory right here. You see this oversold territory? Will probably come down here if these Fibonacci supports don't hold. If the Fibonacci supports hold, then it's likely will come towards $2.90 to $3.04 before we see the flush back down to the mid to mid range for your wave 2. Okay, for your wave 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream today. I'll do my best to do another live stream tonight. It's right now, it's 11:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So maybe around nighttime, like around 9-10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll do another live stream. If not tonight, then we'll definitely do one tomorrow. I'm currently in Asia right now, so the time zones are, I think there's a 12-hour difference between New York time. So I'll see you guys soon. Hope you guys enjoyed. And if you guys want to stay updated on the rest of the market and you want to be able to talk to me and ask me any questions, then click the link in the description below. And yeah, I do cake in this live stream, and I also do it in my Discord. But yeah, if you guys want to stay updated and you want to be able to talk to me and ask me questions, then just click the link in the description below to join the Discord. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys soon in the next stream. Peace out and take it easy. See you in the next one.